Hello all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in day 9 of Azure Storage account series, today we are going to cover about table storage service. So let's understand what is Azure Table Storage. So basically Azure Table Storage is a NoSQL database that store data in key value pairs. So there is one thing to notice here, no SQL database. It means not only SQL, still store or table storage service still can use the or store the data in a SQL format, but it is not mandatory. They have to always follow the SQL format. So it basically helps you to save data in simple table format, just like an Excel sheet with rows and columns. So in Azure Table Storage, data is stored as entity. So basically, entity is like you can think about like a single row in a table act as an entity. Each entity has a partition key and a row key. So basically, a partition key help us to group similar rows together. For example, we have two rows where the partition key name is user one and another row's name also user one. So they basically group both the rows together with the help of partition key. And the second table is called a row key. So it is basically uniquely identify each row. So, and a bunch of other properties like column with custom data. It could be your name, email, address, or so on. So together the partition key and row key make sure every record is uniquely found. So there is a like important role of primary key and row key, which is basically help us to fetch the records uniquely. So now let's understand the key features of table storage. So the very first thing, it's no SQL database. There is no schema. There is no predefined database. They follow rows and columns, and it is not mandatory. Each column should be filled with the values. But if you see in SQL database, there is always a relation between two tables, or like from one table we are storing something, and in second table we are relating or we are adding we are storing the related content from the row one. So there is no kind of relationship in table storage. So each rows will basically act as an independent entity, and it's a key value storage. So it is basically very fast when you fetch the records, and here you can store massive amount of data like in terabytes. And when it comes to a cost part, it is very cost effective because it is cheaper than SQL database. Because if, for example, if you are using Azure SQL database or normal MS SQL database, that is more costly comparison to a table storage. But if you want some kind of relations between your tables, in that case you cannot use table storage. For that you have to go through the Azure storage, Azure SQL, or maybe on premise. If you are using, then you have to go with the Microsoft SQL servers. Another feature, we have fast queries because it use primary key for quick lookups. So it is very fast. High availability, data is automatically replicated for reliability purpose, so it is highly available. Like you will not face any kind of downtime in case if you see any outage in one of the regions. So there are options available. You can replicate your data in another zone or in another region as well. Now these are the few use cases where we can use Azure Table Storage. So you should use Azure Table Storage when you need to store huge amount of simple data. For example, if you want to store user profiles, in that case you can use Azure Table Storage. If you want to store some kind of e-commerce data, you in that case also you can use Azure Table Storage. Now, how does Azure Table Storage work? So the very first component in Azure Table Storage will be a storage account. This is the top level container where all storage types, it could be a blob, file, queue, everything rely under this particular storage account. Under the storage account you will get a option in data management to create what kind of storage service you want, like blob, file, table or queue. So under that you will go on the table. So it is basically collection of entities like a database table but no SQL. Then another component we got a entity. Entity is a single row of data. It is similar to a record in database. Then we have properties, partition keys and row keys. So here I have defined a simple example of Azure Table Storage. You can see the primary key and row key. So if you can see in primary keys we have two values, users and users, and row key is also 0101, but the name, age and city are different in both the rows. So with the help of partition key and row keys, it is easily we can easily fetch the records, unique records basically. So if we want to fetch the record for users, so we will combine partition key and row keys and we can get all the details about all the users which we have stored, like in this case John, Alex. So all both the records we can fetch with the help of partition key and row key. And if you can see another row here we have orders, and then if you the row key is different. So if you have another table, or sorry, another row called orders and the row keys, and the item name and values will be different. So in that case you can combine, you can fetch the record of orders with the help of partition key and row key. And each row can have different column. It is not mandatory. If you can see in orders there is no value available here, so orders can only fetch these three items. So like that basically Azure Table Storage work, because this is NoSQL, not only SQL, but still we can use table storage as a SQL, but there should be a no relation between two tables or two rows. Now let's move to a demo. So what I will do here, let me quickly create a Azure Storage account, and then we will insert the data with the help of simple C# code. So let me see if I have any storage account here. Okay, I don't have. Let me quickly create a storage account. So here I will use primary service as a others table and queues, and rest all the fields I will keep default, because as of now just we are going to create a storage account. So it will take couple of minutes to create a storage account. Let's wait till then. Okay, so storage account has been created. Let me go to resources, and here under data storage I'll go to table storage. So here we don't have any tables. So what I will do, I will create a table and we will insert some records with the help of C# code or .NET code in simple words. So let me open my Visual Studio Code. Okay, so this is the very simple C# code. So what I'm going to do here. So we are going to create a table. Let me check the name. Okay, so the table name is demo. So this is the name which we are going to create a table with the name of demo, and we are going to insert these properties like partition key, row key, name and email. So these details we are going to insert as part of this code. So for this, if you can see this property here, storage account connection string. So these particular details we have to change here. So let me go back here, and I'll go to my, let me take a copy of my storage account name. So which is demo2 storage, that is correct. Now I need a access key for authentication purpose. So I'll go here, access key. Let me click on so, and I'll copy the access key. Okay, now let me save it. Now what I will do, I'll open my terminal and here I will run .NET run command. Okay, so entity inserted successfully. Let me go to my browser and table storage. Let me refresh it. So we got a table name called demo, but we cannot see the records from the browser. So what we can do, we can use a software called Azure Storage Account Explorer. So this you can download from internet and you can connect your storage account from this particular tool and you can see all your data or your tables which you have inserted. So this is Azure Storage account, Azure Storage Explorer tool. So here, if you see here storage account, let me quickly connect to the Azure Storage. So here it is asking how you want to connect. Let me use storage account or service. Here I will use account name and key. So account name, I will copy it, and account key, let me copy the account key as well. And let me hit on next. So successfully added new connection. So if I'll expand this storage account, we can see all the services: blob container, file share, queue, and tables. So if I'll expand the tables here, now we can see a table called demo here. So if I click on this, we can see the values: partition key, row key, timestamp, emails, and name. So this is the detail basically which we have inserted as part of this table. If we want another table, what I will do, let me just quickly change the name here. Okay, so here I will put demo1 and let me save it. Again I will run a .NET run command. Okay, so entry inserted successfully. Let me go to my Azure Storage account. Let me refresh it. So we got another table called demo1 and the same records, because we have not changed the records. So same the records have been inserted here as well. So that's how basically you can utilize Azure Storage, Azure Table Storage for your whatever the purpose you have. But you cannot see your tables inside, from the Azure portal, because there is no options. You have to use Azure Storage Explorer or any similar tools to connect to the your Azure Storage account, and from there you can see the data inside your tables. So that's all for today. I hope it's clear. In case if you have any doubts, you can ping me over comments. So thank you so much. See you next video.